up? Yay! We getting it, boy.
What's good? You know who it is. It's your boy, Jay in the Bay.
Your baller back again. Smells like football season.
Yo. Yeah. Whoa.
What is up, YouTube world? Welcome to 49ers Straight Out of the Bay, because that's where we're giving you our takes straight out of the Bay. But whether you're from the Bay or the UK, the 49ers are worldwide. What is up with my men, Eric and Jay in the Bay? How y'all doing? I'll start with you, Jay. What's up, man?
What's good? Doing excellent, man. Doing excellent, and it's good to be back on with you guys. We missing Amin tonight, but hey, he's got other things that are more important right now with his school. So shout out to Amin. If you watching this, man, good luck on your finals, man. We pulling for you. We know you smart, you're a heady guy, but you got to take care of business in that school, man. So I'm doing great though. Glad to be on with you guys tonight.
Let's go.
Hey, excited to be here. Love talking ball with you guys. It's full off-season mode. The schedule was just released, so I'm excited. We got some things to talk about.
Absolutely. Hey, we'll just hop into a few comments, but hey, everybody who's up in here about to get into the schedule along with a few other things, and it's just all things 49ers. We appreciate everybody who's with us so far. And if you don't know, go ahead and hit that thumbs up, hit the subscribe, all that good stuff. All the links, whatever channel you're on, we're running this on Baller's channel, Jay and the Bay's channel, my channel, but the links are in the description, to go hit up, show some love. It's as quick as that, man. You could just show some love, go do it. We welcome y'all. What's up, Alejandro? He says, yo, Jay. We got Bebop says, whoop whoop. I always love that. Whoop whoop. Let's get it. Let's go. Bebop Jones. We got Don in the house. Hello. How you doing? Hope all is well. We got Stevo Supremo. What's good? Yee. He kind of mixed them up right there. Let's get it. Let's get it. And oh, that was not the one. There it is. I got a couple of little sound effects. Bow, 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 bow. Let's go, baby. All right, man. So, hey, let's just hop right into the first topic, man. I'm just breaking it down. What is your overall takeaway from the 49ers 2023 schedule? We're going to get into a lot more other things, the details of it. But what was just the initial thing that just stood out to you on the schedule? And I'll just, I haven't even thought about this question, so I'm going to let y'all run with it. We'll start with you, Eric. What was your biggest thought out of the schedule so far?
You just crunching the numbers. I thought it was, I wouldn't call it favorable, but it doesn't seem too daunting. Like, whether it seems like a schedule where the Niners should be able to power through it and make the playoffs. I don't want to give away my record prediction quite yet. I'm going to keep that one in my back pocket. But just looking at it, I said, you know what? It's not an easy schedule by any means. Okay, there are some tough games in here, but the overarching theme that came to mind is Niners are making the playoffs. Double-digit wins, and I see it right here. What about you, Jay?
Man, I noticed that the bye week is right in the middle of the regular season, week 9. So that's perfect. That's what every team wishes they could have. I remember some seasons ago where we had our bye week, at the end of the first month or in the middle of the second month, and we still had a lot of more games to go. So that's one thing I noticed. We got the bye week in the perfect spot. Hey, the 49ers do not have to travel internationally this year. I think that's a great thing as well, even though we still will fly, I think, the second most miles across all 32 NFL teams. I think Seattle was number 1 with the most. But that's basically because we're on the coast. We're on the West Coast. So as Baller mentioned, I think this is a schedule that the 49ers should have a lot of success with. Obviously, there's some tough teams on the schedule, but I feel like we match up pretty well with them. And, yeah. I guess another thing is we start on the road again. Our first 2 games are on the road, and then our home opener is a Thursday night, which is kind of weird. I would guess that this is probably the first Thursday night home opener we've had, at least I can remember. Definitely under the Shanahan era. So, but yeah, those are a few things I noticed. But I definitely think we'll be in the playoffs this year. There's no doubt about that.
One thing I love about hearing other people talk about the 49ers, it always makes me think of something different. And when you said on the road again, yeah, I've not
On the road again.
I thought about that song and I don't know heck along, but it hit me soon. On the road.
Hey, I love Shrek. I love Shrek.
Hey, my
It's a great show.
I do too. My kids, hey, that's one of their go-tos when there's like, man, what do we want? Hey, just throw on Shrek, man. Just throw it on. Like that's always a good
It's a
go-to.
good
Good
call.
time.
It's a good call.
Good. Yeah.
All right. Hey, if I had takeaways, there's 2 things I noticed. We have 5 primetime games, and we also have they just implemented this. The NFL implemented this year. It's the first time where you can have more than one Thursday night game, and I believe we have 2 Thursday night games, and that's like you were saying, Jay, week 3 home opener versus the Giants, and then week 12, I believe, versus the Seahawks in Seattle, another Thursday night game. So that's kind of interesting. I'll just
Wow,
say,
I'm glad you pointed that out, Kelch.
yeah,
Because I
yeah,
had not put that together. I had heard about the Thursday night game later on in the season, against the Seahawks. That gives you the extra bye,
Good,
the
KD.
longer week playing the Eagles. But wow, 2 Thursday night games. That is unusual.
that
Yeah.
is. Hey, it's the first year where it's ever happened to where you can
Wow.
get that, but I'm curious to know how many teams will have that Thursday night, and I wonder. It's going to take a while to really like go through years and years to see, hey, was that kind of beneficial or was that kind of because you could kind of look at that like, hey, man, that's almost like another buy, or you could look at that like, man, that's stretching us thin for injury, or there's a lot of different ways to really split that up and look at it, and we're going to find out over, it'll probably take a good decade to really start seeing some trends or whatever, but it is interesting, and another thing, 5 prime time games. 2 other things stood out to me. I'll just go ahead and hit it before we get into these details. Was that Cowboy Sunday Night Football? And I know it's not prime time, and I want to hear Jay say it one time. The good old prime
Time.
There it is. There it is. Hey, but we play the Cowboys. We play the Eagles. Man, we play the Ravens Monday night, Christmas night
Giants.
football
Yeah.
toward the end of the year. So this schedule. And then Jay, he pointed out the second most travel miles. I did notice that. That there's I believe we're in the middle of the pack of strength of schedule at 15.
Yeah, 15th. Yep.
Yep. So those are the initial takeaways. We see you
But how do they calculate strength of schedule? A lot of that is based on
winning record, I
last
think.
year's record.
Previous
Last
record.
year's record.
Previous
Yeah.
year.
Still,
Yeah.
a lot of these teams are different.
Let's
It's
go.
not the same team. So
Yeah. I think we
even-
had didn't we have one of the worst or one of the hardest schedules? And then toward the end of the year, it was one of the easiest or something. It's like,
Right.
it switches quick, man, to your point, Baller. Where we at? We got KD in the house. He says, hello, my 49ers family. I hope you are all having a wonderful Monday. Absolutely, man. You as well, man. Yee. We got, who else we got in the house? We got Joe Montana the Great in the house. Says Rams. He says 49ers take the West and win their 6th Super Bowl. I love it, bro. You just keep that positivity rolling. No, we appreciate you though, man. You're always rocking with the Niners. It's all in good fun, my man. Good stuff for coming through. We got Bebop. We're going to get to you guys toward the end of the show. We're going to get to some good questions. If you guys got really good questions and all that, we know you guys are going to be doing a lot of talking, but wait till the end, man. And we're going to get to all the thoughts, questions, and all that. We're going to hop to the next subject. What games are you most excited for? I think we're all going to probably be on a similar hype on this, but I'm going to just go ahead and start it off with the Cowboys, man. I've always looked at Green Bay and the Cowboys as one of our biggest rivals outside of our division. And, maybe not so much of Green Bay anymore, but all the way back to the Brett Favre days, that's how I felt about it. But Dallas will always be just the way I feel. So I'm looking forward to week 5, Dallas. And of course, I'll just stop there and let you guys say the rest because we all know one that's circled by everybody on that schedule. But I'll go ahead and start with you, Jay. Um, what game are you most excited for on this schedule?
There's definitely a couple games that I'm most excited for, but I'm going to choose one that may be further down the list of excitement, but it's still an exciting game. And I'm going to say the home opener against the Giants. It's going to be a standalone game.
Oh, yeah.
It's a Thursday night prime time game at night at Levi's. We open up the stadium to the fans. And the Giants will be our respectable team. I mean, they re-signed Daniel Jones. I think they still have Saquon Barkley. They still have a lot of talent on that team on both sides of the ball. So that should be an exciting game. And it's a standalone game. There won't be any other games on that Thursday night, obviously. So I think that will be exciting. And after starting the hold on 1 second. Okay. My screen for some reason went blank. Oh, can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I
got you now.
Oh,
we
okay.
can see you as well too. Yeah,
For some reason my screen went blank. But yeah, after starting the season, the first 2 games on the road to come back home in week 3, I think for me that'll be a very exciting game against the Giants, who they should compete, in that NFC East division. Obviously, probably the Eagles are the favorite, but hey, the Giants are no slouch. Giants, they went to the playoffs last year, right? Or they were in contention. Yeah, they went. Yeah, so they're a respectable squad, and for me, obviously, there's a ton of exciting games, but for me, I'm gonna go with the home opener against the Giants.
That's a good one, Jay.
That is a good pick.
You know what one I'm looking at week 8. I'm looking at week 8 against the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, this isn't even a primetime game. I'm looking at a 125 start, but Joe Burrow, he's in the upper echelon of NFL quarterbacks. Mahomes, in my opinion, is kind of in that tier of his own. And then you got, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Herbert, depending on who you maybe not Herbert, but I got Joe Burrow in that next tier. And I want to see how this Steve Wilkes defense matches up against Joey B, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. They got weapons. So that'll be a game that the defense, they need to bring their A game. And that's one game. If I can get tickets to that one, that'd be a good one to go to.
Absolutely. I do want to acknowledge Small Town Reviews up in the house. If you guys don't know about him, go check his YouTube channel out. He says cheers. He also says this. Hey, good stuff for coming through, my man, but I got to do this one. He also says, how about them? Boo, no. Hey, I wish it was a better series. Congrats to y'all. Hey, man, I wouldn't be surprised. My early prediction was that the Denver should easily do it. After a little bit more thought, I wouldn't be surprised if the Lakers face the Celtics. That's a different topic, different story. Good stuff for coming through. We got David V in the house. He says, what's good, brother Jay?
How you doing, DV?
What's good, fellas? We got 49er Chanel up in the house. Where we at in these topics? Hey, another quick thing that I wanted to touch on was after I really got to thinking about the schedule, I keep on hearing the Steelers. Oh man, it's gonna be easy. Steelers gonna be this, and this, and it sounded so reminiscent to last year versus the Bears. Regardless of the weather, football is a crazy freaking game. And I see Baller almost smiling, like maybe he had a similar thought. Like, don't overlook
that's a really good point.
Don't start penciling stuff in. We seen last year we got off to a rocky start, and just and you just never know in football. So I'm kind of looking at, hey, the Steelers, let's start freaking strong. 2019 type season. And another one, I cannot believe none of us mentioned it, but the freaking Eagles, none of us mentioned it. Debo put out, Debo, Debo. Oh, but Debo, man, he expressed his hate, you know what I'm saying, for the Eagles, and I love it. I love the rivalry. And I don't care to debate what a rivalry is. I'm looking at it like, hey, there's bad blood. Eagles, Niners, let's freaking go. Let's get it. what is that, week 13? And I agree with you guys. That was a good pick the Thursday night with the New York Giants. Also, the Bengals is a game I got circled. We're going to get into some other topics, but who was this? We got Corey
Right.
Davis
KD.
in the house. I almost thought that was Jay's channel. It might be mine, but I almost said hot diggity dog, man. But hey, good looking KD, no matter who it's went to. Much love, but much love. He said, "Can I get a what's good from Jay in the Bay?"
Absolutely, KD, and I hope all is well, man. What's good? Thanks for coming through tonight, KD.
Real talk. We got a Niner Game podcast in the house. Oh yeah, hey, and another thing, man. There's so many content creators nowadays. Go check out Corey Davis. He runs a show. Be doing some hangouts. Love it, man. Go check out Corey Davis along with Dion Niner Game podcast.
Game, yep.
Yee, everything, fellas. Great lineup. Baller Celts and Jay in the Bay. Yee. Or wait, hold on, because I know he'd be liking when I hit it up. So hold on, I got to give it. Yee. Let's go. All right, man. We got Steve-O Supremo up in the house. We see you, my man. Good stuff for rocking with us. Hey, man, go look at the link in the description and go show some love to all the channels if y'all haven't already. But we're going to get into the next topic. I've already expressed it earlier, but I'll go over them. We got 5 primetime games. Starting off with the first one, New York Giants at the 49ers Thursday night, week 3. Dallas at the 49ers week 5. And I like how they spread this out nicely too. Sunday night football. 49ers at Vikings, Monday night football, week 7. Week 12, we got 49ers at the Seahawks Thursday night. So like backstage, I believe it was backstage. Or no, it was on the show. We got 2 Thursday night games. Week 16 versus the Ravens, Christmas night, Monday night football. That's going to be exciting. You know what? Yeah, man, it's going to be exciting. 5 primetime games. When you're a good football team, you're going to have a good amount of them. So I'm excited about that. What are your guys' thoughts on the primetime games?
Man, appreciate you, Niner Game Podcast. Appreciate that comment, man. I got to say, the 49ers playing the Ravens on Christmas Day. Are you kidding me? Man, that's going to be like opening presents on Christmas Day, man. My kids will be happy. I'm going to be happy at night, man. That's going to be an incredible game to watch. Hopefully, all the players are healthy and we see Lamar Jackson.
I had a boo Rudy. Hey, much love, Rudy. Much love.
Yeah, but that Christmas Day game, that's going to be incredible. And I think this is the first year that they're going to have Christmas Day games. So I think that's incredible in itself. And hopefully everyone's off and be able to see it. But Lamar Jackson against our skilled players, and the Ravens defense is always respectable. So that's going to be a hell of a game, no doubt.
I mean, that's a great point, Jay. I think I got to piggyback off of that. Lamar Jackson, he's one of the most exciting football players to watch in the NFL, in my opinion. And I'm back in the day growing up, the player who I loved when he had a primetime game, it was like must-see TV. It was Mike Vick, Atlanta Falcons, just with that dynamic skill set. Like, because there wasn't NFL red zone, I didn't have Game Pass. So you only got to see really some of these players in their primetime games. So just like I would circle those Mike Vick games, Lamar Jackson, I mean, he's an exciting player to watch. And the fact that it's happening on Christmas, and Lamar, he's just a dynamic weapon. Last time these two teams matched up, I want to say it was like a mud game, right? A couple, 2-3 years ago. I think it was a muddy game in Baltimore. So, hey, Steve Wilkes, this defense, you got to try to contain Lamar and, hey, do it on Christmas. That's going to be big time. And then, like Jay already spoke about, the Thursday night game, the home opener, the Giants, they made the playoffs. It's a good football team. Brian Daboll's pushing the right buttons. They paid Daniel Jones. They got him some weapons. Last year, he was kind of void of weapons outside. But I know they brought in, they drafted a guy, brought in some players, Saquon. That'll be another good one. And then anytime the Seahawks always play us tough for the most part, so anything can happen in those primetime games against the Seahawks. I think they're, other than the Niners, I don't know how you guys feel, but the Seahawks are probably the team that I think could give the Niners a run for their money in the NFC West.
Yeah.
But so anyway, those are the three out of all of them where I'm really kind of pumped up and excited to see what goes down.
Hey, just a
Absolutely.
quick comment about that Seahawks game. So the final time that we played the Seahawks in the regular season is December 10th. When you think about it, that could decide possibly the NFC West division. You can imagine if we beat the Seahawks twice, obviously most likely we'll have a better record than them. That could decide, who wins the NFC West crown. So that's a huge game. December 10th, 105 in Santa Clara. So looking forward to that.
Absolutely, absolutely. I want to get to this comment first off because I've never seen the name before, and I think it's pretty cool. I think that's positive, and I almost threw the pause out, but positive Panda Frisco Drummer. Hey man, that's a pretty dang good name right there. I like that. Don't sleep on the Hawks this year though. Great point. Great point. They've been doing good in the draft the past couple of years, and you know, youngsters are going to go hard. A young team that's talented and hungry and kind of written off, they're going to try to go hard. So welcome, good stuff for coming through. We also have Chris Hansen, a few other guys. We're going to get into these other topics. Hold on, we got another person I've never seen the name.
Philadelphia
We got Philadelphia underdog. So y'all really don't think Brock Purdy was gonna win, knowing your defense gave up 31 points, right? 31-7. Hey man, hey, it's kind of like this. I kind of look at it almost like uh if the offense helps the defense and the defense helps the offense. So it's like we wasn't gonna, if our offense was clicking the way it was clicking and not having 3 and outs and establishing drives and the time of possession, it wouldn't have been 31. We hear you. And that was in the past. We coming for y'all this year. Hey, good stuff for coming through. We appreciate you. I think I read that right. But y'all have any
the Eagles
on that?
lost the Super Bowl, man. So I don't see why they can talk about beating a team with a 4-string quarterback. I mean, come on, man. Like, let's be real. But hey,
I like it. I like it. I like it. We can get into. Wait, hold on. Oops. Hold on. I'm messing up with my buttons.
Hey, I wanted to mention. I want to talk about the Seahawks a little bit. I felt like obviously they had the Legion of Boom, and they drafted well early, and I felt like that was the downfall of their squad. After they gave Russell Wilson that big money, they had a few swing and misses in the first round, like a couple years in a row. I felt like they really weren't able to draft players, and that's what you have to do when you pay a quarterback that amount of money. And then the last 2 or so years, it seems like John Snyder and Pete Carroll, they've cleaned up their act, and they've actually drafted a lot of talent, the last 2 years. So I think that's kind of been their resurgence, I feel. And of course, Geno playing, who is this guy? Geno plays pretty well when he doesn't play against the Niners. And hopefully that'll continue this year. But yeah, there's no doubt. The Seahawks are, I think, the second best team in the NFC West, for me.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you, Bryant.
Yeah, appreciate you, Bryant. Good stuff for coming through. Go check out Bryant Culp, and David McNiner as well. He hops on a lot of guys' channels, and supports and is always there. Everybody should know David McNiner, but Bryant Culp, he started up his own YouTube channel. Go show him some love. Hey, along with the Ramelia Sports Report, I'm not too sure if anybody up in our chat. Hey, you know what? I think I might be subscribed though, man. I think I did just to show love. But yeah, he's also got a YouTube channel, and it's good to know your opponent. It's good to know the op. It's good to know the ends on the op. So it is what it is. Everybody's got their flavor. But yeah, that should do it for everybody. Do you guys have any other like major thoughts about the schedule? I'm kind of looking at my notes. We fly the second most behind Seattle. I think we kind of went over a lot of it. Do y'all want to do a super, super, super early season prediction or record prediction? And I thought the easiest way to do it, instead of going through every single game, maybe just talking about who we lose to. And, oh yeah,
Mm.
another little note I seen was I think we're favored in every single game except for Philadelphia. The last game versus the Rams, it says to be announced. They haven't put it yet, but I'm pretty sure we're favored there, even if it's in our second home, Levi South. So I think it was even versus the Jaguars. I think it was the only one that was favored was the Eagles, and then I think it was even on the Jaguars. That was kind of, I don't want to say surprising because we're hey man, we're an established football team that's supremely talented. Even if injury did come, we got depth, we got talent. I'm excited. I'm just stupid excited. Do y'all have any final thoughts on the schedule before we get into who the 49ers will lose to? I just feel like it would be a lot easier to break that one down.
No, I think we should just jump right into that.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it because I could just do it first, man. I don't. I did it a little while back, but I think I don't have the schedule in front of me. But there were reasons why I put the losses I put, and I think after the bye week, does anyone? So we got the bye week in week 9, right? I feel
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
we went on the road for a certain amount of games. All right, so I
After the bye, it goes Jags on the
okay.
road, and then they're home for the Bucks, road Seattle, road Eagles, and then home Seattle.
All right, so I know my first two losses. My first two losses was the Browns. Hella surprising. I just feel like sometimes stuff weird happens in the NFL. But that's a super hot start. If our first loss is versus the Browns, but I think it was like we went on the road for a while, and then so that's the reason why I put it in. And then I put the next loss was the Bengals coming back home sometimes after a good road. You come home and you kind of let that first game down sometimes. So I know for a fact my first initial prediction was the Browns, Bengals, and I can't remember my last one because I did the prediction. I did a little season schedule show, put up a little video, but I think we're going to drop one. I wouldn't doubt it if we manhandle our division pretty well, but it wouldn't surprise me if someone like Jacksonville or Seahawks, just there's going to be one other loss. I feel like when it's all said and done, I feel like it's going to be 14-3. Um, yeah, it's the way I see it, man. Hopefully everything goes smooth and there's not a whole bunch of injuries to quarterbacks like last year. But even when that did happen last year, I believe we went 14-3, right? Or am I slipping up on that? Or was it 13-4? Do y'all remember?
Last season,
Yeah, yeah.
13-4.
Okay. I think it was. I think it was. But yeah,
Yeah.
those are my.
It
I'll
seems so
go.
long ago.
Yeah, it's been a minute. So my first two losses, man, and I'll try to come up with the third one was the Browns, surprisingly, and the Bengals. We could start either one of you guys. Let's go with Eric, man. Who are the 49ers losing to this coming up
You know
year?
what? I don't even know who's starting week one. I'm going week one to the Steelers. Steelers are well coached on the road. Mike Tomlin. I got a lot of respect for him. That defense. You got the Watt bro. It's a good team. I know Kenny Pickett. Like I feel like take the under in that game. It feels like it's just going to be low scoring, in my opinion. It's going to be a tight contest. Obviously, I'm hoping the Niners pull it out, but it seems like most years Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers, his teams start out slow. So I'm just thinking it's going to be a tough game on the road against the Steelers, against a well-coached team. So I got him losing week one. And then after that, I got him winning, what is that, 4 games in a row. The next loss is, like you said, Celts, against the Cleveland Browns. The Browns are coming off a bye, I believe. I
Mm-hmm.
heard that. The Browns have a bye the week before. So they're going to do some additional scouting on the Niners. The Niners are going to have to play on the road. They got some talent over there in Cleveland. Deshaun Watson, he didn't look good last year. He did not, but I think he's going to be better this year. They
Same.
just traded for Zadarius Smith to pair with Myles Garrett. Like they got some talent on that team, Amari Cooper. So I think that's a tough one. That's loss number 2. And then I went same thing with you, Celts, against the Bengals, the game that I'm really interested to see. I got a lot of respect for that team. I think Joe Burrow's really good. You know, I gave him a loss there. And then I got them winning. Got them winning. How many games is that now? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 games in a row. Next loss is against the Seahawks. That first, well, that's a Thursday nighter, I believe, on the road. Yeah, I got them losing that one on a short week against a divisional opponent who I think is pretty good. And the last loss of the year, loss number 5, is against Baltimore. Lamar Jackson. He's just, well, we already talked about him. He's just really freaking good. If he's there, then he's dangerous. And mobile quarterbacks feels like maybe not so much last year. They might have cleaned it up a little bit last year, but mobile quarterbacks have given these defenses issues in the past. Getting in the pocket, making some big plays, or buying time, breaking the pocket, throwing the ball downfield. So I gave them their 5th loss to Baltimore.
I gotta say, what's good to Livy's World? Thanks for tuning in to the stream tonight. Appreciate you. I see you, Corey Davis. You got great taste, man. I see you. Appreciate that. It's funny. I was thinking the same thing too. Bay Area baller, man. I think we could lose to the Steelers. I mean, it's going to be. I can't speak for everyone, but I think Trey Lance will start. Obviously, he's going to be a little rusty.
Oh no, my bad, bro. My bad, bro.
I mean, hopefully he come out the gate, looking to the left and looking to the right. That's what I hope so.
Danny Gray,
he
down the
delivers
sideline.
down to Kittle or Danny Gray, for a touchdown. That's what I'm hoping for. But hey, like Baller said, they're a well-coached team. Mike Tomlin. They haven't had a lot of success over the last few years, the Steelers, as far as they haven't really gone deep in the playoffs, but they're still a respectable team. It's their home opener. It's a 10 a.m. kick for us. That's early. So, just like we lost to Chicago last year. You never know. So, but let's say they win that game. One game I had them losing to was could be Cleveland and also Cincinnati. I think those were the toughest teams that I've seen. Baltimore. The Commanders always play us tough. I mean, their offense isn't really good, but they have a very good defensive line, and it's definitely something that needs to be respected. And the Commanders, they always play us tough. And I can see us losing to the Rams at the end of the year. I think if we have the NFC West wrapped up, if the NFC conference, if we're number 1 in the seeding, or if we win that game, and there's no way we could get higher in seeding, I could see us maybe laying an egg against the Rams. Unfortunately, that would be a home game for us. But there's always going to be 1 or 2 games on the schedule where we think we should win and we don't. And then, hey, maybe we beat the brakes off the Bengals, or maybe we beat the brakes off the Ravens. So it's funny. It's definitely 2 games that meet that criteria every year, or maybe 2 to 4 games. So, but I see us having at least like a 12-5 record, and hopefully Trey Lance, if he starts majority of the season, I think that clearly means that he's playing well, regardless of Brock Purdy's status. Because I think if he's playing well, if we get off to, let's say Purdy's on the PUP list for the first 4 to 6 weeks, and we start off the season hot, like we're 5-1. I don't think there's no way in hell you bring Brock Purdy in. I think you let Trey ride it out. I think that would be the best thing to do. And Ramilia Sports Report, he says the Rams are going to sweep the Niners. Okay, keep dreaming. And I got to say, what's good to Seahawks Eddie, man. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Appreciate you. And CJ, appreciate it.
Yeah, we see all y'all, man. Seahawk Eddie, every single one of you guys. Hey, man, it's all in good fun with the Ramilia, man. And I ain't gonna lie,
Absolutely.
when I'm on other people's shows, man, I start getting a little hot, man. I be starting to want to, like, I think I told Rudy one time. Remember that one time you was on Grant's show and you was trying to tell the whole history of the Rams, and Grant never takes no one off his show. Grant, when it's call-ins, Grant will let people just let it rip, and Grant finally had enough, and was like, man, I couldn't do it. I couldn't talk about the Rams back in Philadelphia or whatever, or Cleveland. I think that if y'all do want to know a little bit of history about the Rams, I believe it was Cleveland they started out. So it is what it is. We
I
appreciate
give
all you
Vermilia
guys.
a hard time too. my
When
my
I'm on
go-to
this side,
line with
when I'm on this
Vermilia.
side, like
I,
it's
I,
easy
I
for me to
say,
enjoy it.
Vermilia, I'm so surprised at the senior citizens home that they give you that big desk with all that stuff. They allow you to have that, at the seniors home. So I don't know how you work that in, but so that's my go. But it's all love. I'm just
It's
poking fun
love,
at him.
man.
I
It's
know,
it's all love.
Vermilia.
Yeah,
He's a good guy.
Ramilia's a cool dude. He's very passionate. He's very knowledgeable Rams fan, and we're just poking fun at each other. So it's all good, man. It's all good.
We got our
Pterodon.
man
What's
Pterodome up in the
cool?
house. He says, Celts, what up, faithful? What's up, my brother? Yee. Good stuff for coming through. We got NorCal Bill in the house. Just everybody up in here tonight, man. It's a lovely thing to freaking see. So that kind of wraps it up for the schedule. We gave predictions. We basically broke it down, I think, as much as you could have. We told you who we think is going to lose. Great points by both of you guys on games I didn't think of. And man, do you guys want to talk a little bit about the little mini camp? Was there any takeaways that y'all took away from there? Just hearing through, the people who were there and everything. I've heard of the two main takeaways. I'll just start it off with the mini camp so far was, Braden Willis. There's a couple things I found out about Braden Willis. One that I didn't know in college was he had the most broken tackles for a tight end in the whole entire all of college football. I was like, okay, I see where we're going with this. Who does that sound like? George Kittle. I was like, I like that. And then all of a sudden, I'm hearing a little chatter that Willis looked better than Latu. And that's why I was glad that we made two picks there. I was glad because you just never know. And typically we hit in the 5th and 6th round. So another thing I was thinking is, hey, maybe the 49ers went and picked a whole bunch of 5th rounders, no matter where they got them, 3rd round, 4th round. Let's get a whole bunch of 5th rounders because we know they're going to hit. Because we all know about, the Kittles and the Greenlaws. And I'm being funny too. But if that's what you're laughing at, I'm trying to find
That
the
is
positive.
funny. That's
I'm
funny.
trying to
Yeah.
find the green. I'm trying to make green out of everything. It can be a green side. So sometimes even through the worst storms, man, diamonds are made from pressure. You feel me? So it's like I try to do my algebra on the goodness because hey, this world be tripping out way too hard sometimes. So with all that being said, I got my preacher stuff out the way, halfway through this thing. But Braden Willis looked great. I heard Jair Brown looked great. And I also found out who got the gold helmets. I think we were talking about gold helmets right after the draft. I believe. Wait, hold on. I know I wrote it down somewhere. But yeah, if wait, hold on a minute. Let me see. Because
Braden Willis
it was Willis
and
and Jair
who
Brown,
was it?
right?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think.
So and just to let the fans know, we hand out the golden helmet to draft prospects who are leaders, good football IQ, and just standout play. So they're looking for that leadership, that football IQ, and Braden Willis and Jair Brown are those two guys. Those are my little takes from the camp so far. Do you guys have any takeaways? We'll start with I don't know who started first last time, but we'll go with you, Jay.
I mean, it's rookie mini camp. Not putting a ton of stock, in guys in shirts and shorts, but
Real
I
talk.
did see some highlights, and there's a guy by the name of Jacour Pearson, who is actually the leading receiver, the leading XFL receiver. I think he had 60 catches, 670 receiving yards, and I think someone who was at the practice got him running. I don't know if it was a fade or a fly route, but whoever it was, they was running behind him because they couldn't keep up with him. And he clearly has speed. That's definitely one thing that he possesses. But he is small in stature. I think he's only like 5'8", 180. So I don't know. Tyreek Hill is probably bulkier, but maybe similar height. I don't think Tyreek Hill is 6 feet, but he showed up and showed out at rookie mini camp. He was invited to try out for several other teams as well. So that could be a name to look out. And his name is Jacour Pearson. And once again, he was the leading XFL receivers. So that's one guy who kind of stood out for me.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, yeah, I saw that video that was put out. He was flying off the line of scrimmage, blew right past him, got the separation. Yeah, that was eye-opening. From just some of the stuff I've heard around camp, Darrell Luter has been impressive so far. He's, you can't be physical at the line, not this early in camp. It's against the CBA or whatever it is. So there's no press man, but he's playing a press style without actually being able to hit the receiver. So he's engaged there. And then Drake Jackson, this is the biggest takeaway to me. Drake Jackson was a guy I had been talking about at the start of the offseason as the player I want beat reporters and just people are in the building saying, hey, Drake Jackson, he changed his body. This guy added muscle. And then a report came out, I believe it was Steve Wilkes who was talking about it when Wilkes was at the podium. And Wilkes said, hey, Drake Jackson, he's been here in Santa Clara. He's been in the weight room. He's getting stronger. And I'm like, hey, perfect. Because that was one of the things I wanted to see in the offseason. Because I think Drake is really talented. I'm asking myself, and I'll ask you too, it's like, who is going to be that pass rusher opposite Bosa, right?
Yeah.
Is there a move to be made still, right? We know the Niners move some money around. And they might have a little something to play with. Are they going to spend that on an edge? Or what's the plan there? But, as far as I'm looking, Drake Jackson is that guy opposite Bosa that I have circled. So he couldn't get on the field last year. Remember, they weren't dressing him. So it's good to hear that he's working hard. And then the other thing that comes to mind is Cameron Latou. I heard he dropped a catchable ball. Again, this is the first practice, but he's dropped a ball. But here's what I will say. He did have a drop problem at Alabama, a little bit of the drop C's. It crops up on twice. Sometimes catchable balls, you would think, he's going to catch and run upfield. He let him hit the floor. So to hear that he dropped another one in training, it's something to monitor. That's why I bring it up, because he had some dropsies at Alabama. Let's just keep an eye on it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, there's going to be a lot of positions that's kind of, there. It seems like it's only like right tackle and defensive end, but we got linebacker, nickel corner, maybe even outside corner. There's quite a bit of positions, and we don't have to get into every single detail of this, but I thought this was a pretty good topic. Who will earn starting spots, and you guys don't have to say definitively right now, but just to go over, man, we got the right tackle. We got McKivitz over there. Pryor, I think people forget we got Pryor. We got Feliciano. Who knows if Burford's really going to solidify that right guard?
Hey, there's still
spot.
one guy out there, Kelch. Can I throw a name out there? There's a free agent. I know I've heard it kind of rumored or speculated that if they did make a move and spend it, a few $1 million, it'd probably be at the end. But there's a right tackle, Cameron Fleming, who's still a free agent. He was the starter last year for the Broncos. So that would mean we kind of swap right tackles. But I thought he was respectable. Guy played a lot. He's still out there. So that's just a name where, if you can get him in, I would love to bring him in to have him compete with Colton. Because right now, you mentioned Pryor, but I don't really think Pryor can challenge McKivitz, in my opinion. But you bring in a guy like Fleming, and I think he might actually. I like Cameron Fleming. So while we're talking right tackle, I wanted to toss him in.
Man, it's we just got squad, man. It's like, that's just the one place that just feels a little iffy, but just like last year, I felt a little more iffy last year, even though I was still confident that the offensive line was going to gel together quick. They did surprisingly well. I'm not sitting there like, see, I was right, but it's just I had that kind of faith in it. And I feel a little bit better this year, but it's still that area that's like, we don't know. And whenever you don't know, you tend to lean toward the worrying or, man, it might not be good. But, man, I do like how the 49ers brought in bigger bodies, and Feliciano and Pryor. Feels like everybody they got is 320 plus, the new guys that they have brought in. And that's one thing I didn't like about a McGlinchey sometimes I feel the same way about Javon Kinlaw. I like the, I like the DJ Jones type, the more bowling balls it's not going to get immediately taken advantage of with leverage. Those guys that are just hard to move, those big daddies, a little shorter, but it's super heavy, man. So it's going to be interesting to see how that offensive line, the defensive end opposite Bosa. We'll see about Flanagan fouls. Maybe Jay wants to talk about linebackers, and then we're going to see about Lenore or Oliver, in the nickel. It's going to be interesting. Or Gibson and Jair Brown. There's going to be a lot of little battles, and I can't freaking wait for it. We got depth. I can't wait to see who comes out on top. But I mean, hey, look how much of a surprise it was when Jimmy Ward got hurt. Boom, we signed Gibson. Look at the freaking year Gibson had. So every time it's a question mark, sometimes it's just opening a better door. Not saying Gibson is better than Ward, but Gibson is still here. Ward moved on. Gibson produced. It's just it's one of the exciting things about the year, just not knowing. And especially as a 49er fan, being faithful. But what do you got, Jay? What do you who do you think is going to kind of step up, and what I wish I would have worded it different. What competitions within the 49ers position competitions are you most excited for?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because the 49ers did draft a lot of players in this draft, but I feel like on the defensive side of the ball, I don't think that many positions are up for grabs. I would err on the side of caution and say that Gibson will most likely start opposite of Huff. But it'll be interesting to see if they put Jair Brown in three safety looks, or maybe they split time. But I think Gibson, barring injury, will probably get the bulk of the snaps. Now at that nickel corner spot, obviously Jimmy Ward played that pretty well last year, and he's off to the Houston Texans. So, I think we brought in Isaiah Oliver. He seems to be the odds-on favorite to win that nickel spot. And Darrell Luter, who knows where he'll play, whether it's outside or inside. Embry Thomas is definitely on the outside looking in. We know the linebacker corps are pretty much set, I believe. I don't know about you guys, but I was surprised that we actually drafted two linebackers in this draft, because obviously we already had Warner, we had Greenlaw, DFF, Orrin Burks. I think we still have Monty Ball, I believe, or
McCrary, yeah.
McCrary Ball. My bad, yeah. So we got a lot of players there at that linebacker spot, but I don't think there'll be a ton of positions up for grab. Now that question, when you brought that up, I was thinking about how much talent the 49ers have lost through free agency, and you had another question like, well, are the 49ers better this year compared to last year? And for some reason, that made me think of that. And we lost a lot of talent. McGlinchey, Jimmy Ward, Sampson, Robbie Gold, Jimmy G, Charles Omenwayhue, Mosley, Brunskill, Ridgeway, Tyler Croft, Jordan Willis, Tavarius Moore. Like we lost a lot of talent. And I don't know if we're necessarily better this year. I mean, time will tell. Obviously, there's uncertainty with Trey Lance at quarterback, but to go back to the other question, I don't think there'll be a guy that comes out of nowhere that's going to win a starting spot, at least on the defensive side of the ball. As Bay Area Baller mentioned, Drake Jackson, he reshaped his body. He's working out all off season at Santa Clara, so that's great to hear. Can he be that every down defensive end that Sampson played that role the past two seasons, that we've seen Charles Omenwayhue play? D Ford for one season played that, so it'll be interesting to see if Drake Jackson can put things together and start opposite of Nicky Bosa. So I think, yeah.
One guy you just made me remember. One guy I keep on forgetting that we swooped up was Cleveland Farrell.
Farrell, yep, from the Raiders.
Yeah, and I keep on. It just feels like it's almost an automatic, and I know nothing's automatic, but it has a feeling of Arden Key all over again.
2.0, Arden Key
2.0. They're similar in their stature. I believe that didn't they both come from Oakland? Like, I mean, it just feels like it's going to be man, Forrester, I heard Eric Armstead just the other day talking, I believe on ESPN, talking about how, Sue was asking him, what are the things you like about Forrester? And the first word out his mouth was belief. And just there is something special when you give someone confidence and belief and to go harder and to dig deeper. And when it just like, I get fired up, man. I get when you have that real belief, man, you can it's a superpower. It is. And I feel like we're going to see it. And another thing, I have a lot of confidence in Drake Jackson because he was playing phenomenal. He put on some muscle because he was a little fatigued toward the end of the year. I think Jackson, I think he's going to be one of those players where he isn't even close to his ceiling. Sometimes, like I feel like when Bosa came in, he's just such a different force. And I know Bosa has gotten better, but I feel like some players are already closer to their ceiling. And I feel like Drake can just continue to get better just year after year. And I'm just excited to see his growth. I'm excited to see what Farrell does. And I'm trying to think who else we might have picked up on the defensive edge. I know we got
Yeah, we
Bell.
got a guy from the Lions who I like.
Okay.
I'm blanking on his name, but he's a speed rusher. And just in the little
Ah,
clips I've seen from him, I like what I saw. His bend off the edge. It didn't have a ton of production in Detroit, but former third round pick out of Clemson. And in the little highlights I saw from him, I like him. But if you don't mind, I'd love to jump in on some of these positions, position
yeah.
battles going
Hit it
down.
up.
You know, you mentioned it, free safety, Jair Brown, Tayshawn Gibson. You got to think
Mhm.
Tayshawn Gibson's the leader in the clubhouse. He had 5 interceptions last year. Like he was
Let's
really
go.
productive. I will say, since the Niners they do this thing with their safeties where they're interchangeable. One guy will
Yeah.
come up, the other one will come down, depending on if the offense motions and whatnot. So when I saw Tayshawn obligated to guard a receiver. It doesn't happen too often, maybe only a few times a game. He got
He
cooked a
get
few
burnt.
times.
He
Like
got
you
burnt.
don't
Yeah.
you don't want to ask him to play
Yeah.
man to man. I don't know if Steve Wilks, he might change some things
He
up, but
will. I
it's
heard
just
he
something
wants
to
to.
monitor.
I heard Wilkes does want to blitz, and he does want to play. He said he feels like we got the guys to get all up in their grill. He wants to go
Yeah.
man. It's funny. I think he said we want to go zone a lot, but we also want to go man a lot. You never want them to guess right, right? So I mean, I think we're going to see some blitzing. I think we're going to see some creativity. I think we're going to be up in people's faces. And I think we're going to
Yeah.
try to hit them. I think we're going to try to hit people so hard, so quick that it doesn't even allow us to get burnt. And we still will occasionally play in that way. If you gamble, you're going to have to. Oh, yeah, I see Austin Bryant. Yep, yep. Good looking, Jay. Yeah,
Yes.
man.
Yeah.
Great points. And if you guys want to keep on pounding it, I'm glad you brought up what you were bringing up because I wanted to bring up Steve Wilkes, but continue on, man. My bad.
Yeah. No, no, you're good. Yeah. So the free safety, that's the first one. It's like, yeah, I think it's Tayshawn, but if Jair Brown is if he's balling out and he's making plays, then I feel like he could challenge Tayshawn Gibson. Again, like, Tayshawn's getting old, man. At some point,
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
are going to slow down. So that's
Oh, yeah.
one to monitor. But the other one that neither one of you guys, astute gentlemen, mentioned is the right guard position. Like
Mhm.
I'm not necessarily just handing it to Spencer Burford, right? Like Spencer
Yeah.
Burford, fellas, he was okay last year. I hate to say it. He wasn't good. He wasn't good. He was okay. He was serviceable. Yes, he's a rookie, so
It's a
you're
kill.
hoping that year two he's going to take a step forward, but I wouldn't necessarily say that's a given. And you brought up Feliciano, like that's a battle I want to see play out. I want
Yeah.
Felice. I mean, fellas, you don't see it very often in the NFL. You don't. The Niners were platooning right guard. We were
Bro,
getting
hey, do you
Brunskill.
remember? Hey, Baller, do you and Jay, do y'all remember when we first started? I came up with an idea. Hey, what if we do that with the cornerbacks? I don't know if y'all remember that, but before the season started, I said, what if we start doing a little bit of a rotation? I think I brought up basketball or baseball, and I said, but with the corners in certain situations, you put, guys who are better versus like kind of Daddy Brunskill. Oh, here we go. I'm glad I get to bring this up. Brunskill versus Aaron Donald was just, hey, every time we play Aaron Donald, just put Brunskill. I know we don't got Daddy Brunskill or Aaron's daddy Brunskill anymore, but there are some times where certain matchups is kind of like a relief pitcher in baseball or even basketball. You just see the matchups and they're always rotating on defense. So how come, we're going to see I love to see that. I loved when I seen that last year. Just I
Yeah,
didn't know
yeah,
exactly why. Maybe it was a little confusing to some. Some people don't like change, but I was like, okay, hey, let's see what we got cooking here. And my
yeah.
bad to keep cutting you off, bro.
No, no, you're good. You don't see it a ton. Not to
Yeah,
say I'm against it. It's just you don't see it a ton, and I think it's because the offensive line. You want to build that camaraderie, just that the awareness, that relationship between. You want those five guys in sync at all moments. Not to say anyway, they did it. They were platooning right guard. I'm not ready to just write in Sharpie
yeah.
Spencer Burford, you are the starting right guard.
Nope.
So that's why you bring in a Feliciano, another veteran. McNiner brought up Zakel. Like I think they like Zakel too. All these guys have these guys battle it out. May the best man win. But I'm not handing the job to Burford to me. The other one I'm watching really closely, fellas, is tight end 2.
Let's
I want to
go.
see that tight end 2 position.
Let's
I
go.
want to upgrade, right? What's the goal of the offseason? I want to get better, right? That's
Yeah.
why you draft guys. That's why you bring guys into free agency. The tight end position, the tight end 2 position last year, it was poor in my opinion. Croft didn't impress me. Dwelly was largely invisible. Charlie Warner, did he make a play after like week 7? Did he even catch a ball? I couldn't tell you. Charlie Warner, sorry, I don't think you're making this roster. And my front runner for the tight end 2 position is Braden Willis,
Brandon
Mr. Gold
Willis.
Helmet himself. I've been
Yes.
watching that Oklahoma tape, fellas. Anytime
Yeah.
you watch Braden Willis play, dude, he gives you everything he's got,
Yes.
right?
Let's
He's not
go.
the biggest guy, but he's going to block his tail off.
Yeah.
You talked about him breaking tackles, and that was another thing that stood out.
The
When he catches the
most.
ball,
The
you
most.
better bring your heart. If you're on defense and Braden Willis has the ball, you better bring your hard hat and you better give you everything you've got. If not, he's running through your arm tackle and he's going to keep fighting for yards, like just similar to Kittle, and just that he fights for every yard. So Braden Willis, I'm telling you, Latu's dropping balls. Latu, he's the guy. He was recruited to Alabama as a defensive end. So I wouldn't say he was a good tight end, but I'm saying he doesn't have a ton of experience at the position. He does some good things. Like I saw Latu, he's blocking the first guy. He'll move off him, pick up a linebacker downfield. Like he does some good things, but just Braden Willis is a beast. So that tight end 2 position, I want to get better, and I'm looking at Braden Willis.
Just to piggyback off that, you got the Wiley vets and Ross Dwelly and Charlie Warner going up against the young guys, and that's going to be an interesting battle at that tight end 2 spot that Bay Area Baller just illustrated. And I was thinking about that as well because we haven't really had a solid backup behind George Kittle who can do everything that George Kittle can do. So I feel like that's really been lacking from the squad, and also just catches from the tight end, offensive production outside of Kittle. We haven't really had that. So it's good to see that the 49ers finally, drafted some young talent this year's draft. 2 times in Willis and Latu. So yeah, very intrigued. And I think honestly, those are probably the only right guard, tight end. Maybe running. I'm sure running back. Running back's always a battle, right? Outside of CMC, will Elijah Mitchell be able to stay healthy? Will TDP, can he have a second year, not even a resurgence? Can he just show up and at least impress the coaches in practice? And Jordan Mason, and I'm sure there's gonna be a running back that's not even on the roster that could come in and maybe get some snaps at least in the preseason. So I think on offense, and of course the obvious quarterback, but offense, running back, right guard, tight end. Those would definitely be spots up for grabs for sure.
Hey, we could transition. Hey, man, I loved everything that y'all was saying. It feels like, feels like between the 3 and when there's 4 of us, we're able to touch on everything. And I love how just it's always somewhat different most of the time. I love it. You had me fired up, baller. Man, I almost started playing.
I got
Freaking-
myself worked.
That
I got
freaking
myself
crap,
worked
man.
up right there.
Hey, I don't promote guns or anything like that, man, but that's just more the right, just when you're on that field, man, and you get to talking about the Braden Willis and all that. I freaking, man, hey, football is just in the bones. Just that kid. I would dive on concrete playing three flies up. So, man, I love it. I love all your guys' thoughts. Hey, we'll transition second year breakout players. And I know we'll talk about these things again. Maybe we could do a show just on second year breakout players. We got quite a few of them. I know we talked a little bit about, or quite a bit about Drake Jackson. We'll see. I'm interested to see what's going to happen with Danny Gray. They were so juiced up when they drafted him, the way they talked to him. Like, what time it is, Danny Gray. And I'm curious to see Danny Gray, like you just were talking about TDP. But if you had to pick just one guy, if there was just one guy, and you know what? Let me make this a little more interesting too. Minus Drake Jackson, because I think that's an easier pick. And I'll start it off. I'm going to just go ahead and just say McCrary Ball. I'm going to and I almost switched it to Zakel. I feel like Zakel was kind of sneaky, like he could sneak his way, maybe an injury, but I'm going to go ahead and say McCrary Ball. I feel like the door could be open for him. We'll see what's up with Flanagan Fowles and Oren Burks. And I did also hear that Graham, the last linebacker we took, did look a lot better than D Winters, because I was talking big on D Winters, like, oh, D Winters got a shot to come in, take it. And I know it's just little, rookie minicamp, and it could switch, it could change. But the initial word is Graham looked good, Winters not so much. And then I'm like, man, maybe, you know what? McCrary Ball, I think he has a shot, man, to take it if he wants it. And we'll see who grows the most. So that's a guy I'm going to go with. We'll start with you, Jay. Who is your second year standout that's going to come through?
First, I got to say, what's good to 49er Minor, man. Thanks for tuning in to the stream tonight, man.
Bash,
and
hey, good looking.
I had two guys. My first pick, it's not going to be the sexy pick. It's going to be along the offensive line. And it's funny because Barry Baller was just mentioning him, and I said I would say Spencer Burford. And I know he was splitting time last year with Daniel Brunskill. I think he built up a rapport with his teammates along that offensive line, and he should be able to make a jump. He's familiar with the offense. He's familiar with the offensive line coach. He knows the plays. For Burford not to win the starting job, I think that would obviously speak negatively on his development going into his second year. And also, I feel that competition brings out the best in people, and especially when you're talking about athletics. Spencer Burford is going to be, competing with multiple people for that right guard spot, because honestly, I think outside of, McKivitz, he's the odds-on favorite at that right tackle spot. All the other spots, Trent, Aaron Banks, Brindle, he just got broke off. I think there's only really two spots along that offensive line that are up for grabs, and Burford's going to have to do all he can to win out. So I would say Spencer Burford. Hopefully he can make that jump in his sophomore season. Also, Sammy Womack. I went to a few training camp. Practices last year. And he was always the first guy out, working on his, DB drills. And that's something that stood out to me. I was like, who was that number 26? And I saw Womack on the back, and I was like, okay, it was him and Huff. Him and Huff were always the first guys out. And so I was like, he didn't really get much of a shot, in this past season. Obviously Jimmy Ward was playing that nickel, and, he's not going to start over, Moody. So we'll see what Womack does. He puts in the work. He puts in the time. Let's see if he can put it all together. And obviously, there's a ton of competition in that secondary room. So those would be my two picks. Spencer Burford on the offensive side, and Sammy Womack. Hopefully, those guys can put things together and get some valuable playing time this year.
Great picks.
I love
Great
that,
picks.
Jay. I love that, Jay.
Same.
I like that, because those guys, they weren't my picks, but absolutely, Sam Womack, he opened some eyes. The preseason game where he ran the receiver's route for him, picked it off. So absolutely. My guy, I got one offense, one defense as well. And someone said in the comments, JP Mason. I'm looking at Jordan
Yeah, they
Mason
did.
because every time the limited snaps he got, he was outstanding last year. I mean, if you look up the Niners PFF's just grades of all their players, Jordan Mason is at the top. He had a grade like above 90. He's up there with like Trent Williams in terms of just grading the snaps that he played. Again, limited snaps, but I'm looking at the running back room. We know CMC, he's the guy, he's the man, but I almost like I don't want to give him 20 carries or 20 touches a game, especially not early in the year. You know, you got to win a game late, playoffs. Hey, you use them as you may. You got to win. But let's kind of temper them, keep them close, 15 to 18 touches, I would say. That would mean that, some other backs are going to get some touches. And Eli Mitchell, we know he's been banged up. Like Mitchell's good when he's on the field, but he's been banged up a lot. And then after that, I'm looking at the rest of this running back room, right? TDP, Jordan Mason, Juszczyk's obviously a fullback, but I'm trying to see who else we added here quickly. A couple of other no names. So Ronald Awatt. I shouldn't say no names unless you guys are familiar with a Ronald Awatt and a Kalan Laybourne. Those are also listed on this depth chart that I'm looking
Oh,
at.
yeah.
So after
Undrafted.
CMC, Eli Mitchell obviously is experienced, but I think Jordan Mason, he was just so freaking good last year that I think he's going to get more playing time. And I just think he's a darn good football player. So that's my second-year breakout offense. Defense, how about Kalia Davis? Coming off the ACL, kind of had the red shirt year last year. So this is like the second year removed off the ACL. I remember when we drafted him, and then you're just looking up whatever highlights you could find. I want to say it was UCF, Central Florida, is what's coming to mind. And he's got really good acceleration. As soon as the ball's snapped, you see him just getting penetration. And Kalia Davis, I think he's a guy before. I believe he played like linebacker. Like he made a transition from
He did.
linebacker to D line. So he's just got some of these movement skills that are rare. So Kalia, obviously, when you're on the D line, we know how these guys operate. Chris Kosterick and these boys, they rotate him, they keep him fresh. I think Kalia is going to get some snaps, and if it goes well and he's making plays, well, guess what? He's going to get more snaps. Obviously, in the big time situations, you're going to have Javon Hargrave and Armstead in the game, but you're going to be spelling these guys, kind of splitting. Kalia Davis, year 2. Breakout.
Let's get it. Let's go. I like how you guys went offense, defense too. You just took it and did a good thing with it, man. We see everybody up in the chat, and I do want to say what's up to Bash as well. What's up, our man 49er Minded? I know we've all been up over there. Love chopping it up with Bash over there, man. Go subscribe to his channel. Anybody else who I haven't said what's up to? Not forgotten, just trying to run a show. Good looking for coming through to all of you guys. Where we at? If I had to think about offense, you know what? I want to bring up a couple of guys who nobody might not be thinking of, and I think we did a great job of that just right there. But is there any hope for a guy like Jason Poe? Is there any hope for a guy like Quantrez Knight? Jason Poe. I'm thinking if I'm kind of forgetting anybody, but man, Jordan Mason, hopefully he sticks around, man, because he was balling. I still got to get that jersey for my son because that's his first name, Mason. So that's pretty dope. I know I was talking about that last year, hoping that he would be that guy, and so far he's shown he the difference between Mason and Trey Sermon. There's quite a few differences, but it is extremely important to not hesitate, man. It's just that split second of hesitation versus hitting it is the difference in winning and losing a lot of the times. And so I'm juiced up about that. Hopefully Mitchell doesn't, have to deal with any injuries, man. Let me see the next topic we got up in here. Quarterback situations.
Real quick.
What's that?
Danny Gray has to see the field. I just don't get it.
Maybe
he's not an established blocker yet at the wide receiver position. But how do you have the fastest guy on your team not contribute last year? I'll never understand that. I'll never accept it. Kyle Shanahan, you're an offensive genius. That's what they say. Well, you got to be able to get him the ball. I don't care if it's screens. I don't care if it's reverses, quick slants. He needs to be used more than a decoy this year. Like,
Can I just add something,
I
Jay?
love that.
Because
Wait,
you know how to utilize Danny Gray. I played Jay in the Bay of Madden when he was in Madden. Danny Gray went off.
let's go.
Danny Gray's
Exactly.
running down the street. He had like 300 yards receiving. It was
That was
so.
good.
If anyone can tell you how to utilize Danny
Come on.
Gray, I'm looking at Jay.
Come on, Shanahan, just turn on Madden, man, and just let Danny Gray fly, man. Come on.
And I gotta say, I'm just like, I'm kind of like, keep going, Jay, because there's not too many times that Jay is gonna say something like he has Shanahan in the room and like, look, check it out, Shanahan. This is unacceptable. I love hearing that, especially from Jay, because Jay is that guy, man. You know, he typically he trusts majority of what Shanahan does, and for good reason. I mean, look what Shanahan has done. He's starting to get more consistent. A couple years back, it was the every other year thing. Fall off, come back, fall off. So as long as we're staying on that steady trajectory of just being good, and then let's get great and let's win it. Let's freaking win one. You know, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer and talk about second place ribbons and coming close. But you know that there is two sides to the coin. We've done a phenomenal job, and we've also come up short. And I hope that we get a lot of the younger generation. I hope they get to witness the Super Bowl that's coming soon. We're there, man. We are right there. We are locked and loaded. I know the QB position is still a question mark, but we have the right guys in the room. I know, Brock and Trey are both phenomenal dudes. They're both talented, regardless of the debates about both of them. We're going to see. It's going to be zero chips. Don't want to hear none of it, man. Don't. Yeah, man, Jim Everett and Rudy, you guys were the only ones at the parade. Y'all could win 10 straight. And it's like, if you don't have that, if you don't have the, if you don't have the community behind it, it kind of don't even matter, to be honest. But props to y'all. Y'all pulled it off. Y'all bought one. It is what it is. All right. Hey, let's talk about, are these 49ers? Do y'all still got time? Y'all good on time?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. I know it's early. But I'm not thinking about necessarily right now in this very moment. But if you were to try to look ahead into the future, do you think these 49ers are going to wind up being better? Even when you mix in all the football stuff, off the field stuff, injuries, which we've been doing great off the field for quite a number, maybe Reuben Foster. Ever since Reuben Foster, I feel like we're like, hey, let's go get a whole bunch of gold helmet guys. So good job by the organization on, bringing in good character guys. But I'll go ahead and start it off, on a positive, on a faithful hype, and say, absolutely, we're going to be better, man. It's hard to be better, but even if we're an inch better, I think the O-line will be a little bit better. I think the injuries will be a little bit less. I think the defense, I know it was great, but I feel like we could scheme it up with a little bit more sauce, with a little bit more flavor, with a little bit more experience from Wilkes. D'Amico did great. Wilkes, I feel like, could be better. That's just, Brian Greasy, great job handling all those freaking quarterbacks last year for us to still be where we were. Brian Greasy is going to be in his second year. He's probably learned a lot from year one to year two. I know it's just a QB. It's just a QB coach, but if he's instilling that confidence, that belief, it goes a long way. I think the 49ers are going to be better, man. I like most of what we did. And Hargraves, one of the best defensive players in the league, and we just went out and got him. Like, let's get it. Let's go. A full season with CMC. Hopefully a full season with Trey or Brock, whoever it is. As long as we don't see Darnold, and I'm not crapping on Darnold, but we don't want to see, I feel like Brock and Trey are better. I want to see someone just be consistent, have the job, and I'll let you guys take it. Do you think the 49ers are going to be better next year?
Man, that's an interesting question. The way I tackled this question was basically who we lost in free agency, who we brought in, and we lost a lot of talent. I mentioned it earlier in free agency. So I think it's going to be interesting, especially along the defensive line. Like we lost how many guys? Like 3 to 4 guys along the defensive line. Obviously, we got the big man Javon Hargrave. So that's a huge plus. But we know this 49ers defensive line works on depth. You know, we got to have at least 8, 9 guys along the defensive line working in rotation in and out of the game. So I think, hey, Khalil Davis, that's an opportunity for him. Maybe Javon Kinlaw can play 10 to 12 snaps. Will Drake Jackson make that next jump, you know, in his sophomore season? So, and then Robbie Gould. I mean, I know he's just a kicker, but you know, hey,
Good point.
he never missed a playoff kick. You know, he's clutch in terrible weather conditions. He's going to score the most points on the team, and now we have a rookie kicker. You know, I don't know. We'll see. At this point, we lost Jimmy Ward. You know, who I felt was a captain of the defense, one of the longest tenured 49ers. So I don't know if we necessarily. I don't know if we necessarily got better. I think that would be determined, you know, camp battles, and then in the regular season. But there's no doubt that this team is still supremely talented. You know, there's a Pro Bowler on every notch along the defense, playmakers all along the offensive side of the ball. So the talent is there, but we'll see what the depth is. We'll see what the depth is at certain positions. But at this point, I don't. And of course, uncertainty at quarterback. You know, I would say that we're not better, but that doesn't mean we can't get better, right? Like we can definitely get better week by week once the regular season starts. But as of right now, based on the talent we lost, I don't think we're better right now.
Jay, we're on the same page because the depth, there is a question mark with the depth. Now, here's what I'll say. If I compared just the starting lineup, offense and defense to last year, I think I prefer this upcoming year's starting lineup just with Javon Hargrave, him being just an all-pro caliber player anytime you're adding him. But like you mentioned, if you're just looking at the whole 90-man, or excuse me, the 53-man, then I think last year's team, the depth might be a little better. Niners lost a lot of players, and you're talking Mike McGlinchey, you know, the right tackle, Emmanuel Mosley, really good DB. I know he went down early, but he's a good player. Jimmy Ward, like you said, Jay, Jimmy Ward, longest tenured Niner, at least he used to be, and manned the slot really well last season.
Yeah.
You know, Tarvarius Moore didn't give us anything. Brunskill, actually, I liked Brunskill. You know, they did bring in Feliciano, but Brunskill, that's a loss because I thought he just, you know, he was the backup
He did it all.
center. Yeah, he could do it all. You could literally play Daniel Brunskill at all 5 offensive line positions, and it's like he would fill in and he'd be okay. You know, you're not going to get killed there with Brunskill starting at any position. But then Azeez Al-Shaair, who I loved Al-Shaair, you know, last off season, if you would have asked me, hey, Azeez Al-Shaair or Dre Greenlaw, I got to be honest, I would have probably said, man, I really love Azeez Al-Shaair. Now, this past year, Dre Greenlaw was absolutely spectacular. And Azeez missed some games. He was banged up. But I'm mentioning that because I think Azeez is also a really good football player. I think Rand Carthon going to the Titans made a really good move. It was a relatively cheap deal, if I'm remembering correctly, what Azeez got. But he's another loss you got to monitor. Charles Omenihu. Omenihu was the best defensive end not named Nick Bosa, in my opinion. And then if you didn't pick Charles Omenihu, then I'm guessing you mentioned Samson Ebukam as your guy. Well, he's gone too. So you lost 2 good defensive ends. Not great, but both Omenihu and Ebukam were good. So again, that's the depth kind of taking a bit of a hit there. So it's like it's twofold, this question, because if I look at the starters, I'm saying, yeah, give me Javon Hargrave, give me this year. Like I like, you know, I like Demo compared to, you know, Eman, but looking at just the totality of it brings more into question. And who knows who's going to step up, right? Because players are going to step up and make a name for themselves. So who knows? The depth might be better than what I'm seeing right now. Yeah. So But
It's a two-parter.
to
It's
answer
a
the
two-parter.
question,
Yeah.
I'm saying I'm gonna take this year's because I really like Jamal Hargrave.
And it's you guys made phenomenal points, even though I got depressed. but y'all really did make great
My
points.
bad.
And then I kept on thinking about, but all the points I made, but it's not even about swaying. But that's what I love about us coming together and doing this, because you guys are absolutely right. And I made a lot of points that were absolutely on point. And it's just like there's always, I like to say there's three sides to a coin, man. If you stand that coin up, man, if you stand it up just right, it could stand up, man. So there's always the flip side, is the point I'm trying to make here. And yeah, man. I feel like it's easy to say, no, we're not right now in this moment. And it's also easy to say, but we definitely can be if a couple of those guys hit. If the Oliver does play well, from Atlanta, if Luter Jr. really comes through, or a couple of the second, Kalia Davis, if these guys, woo, watch out. Watch the frick out for these
If
Niners.
Trey hits the ground running,
Oh, yeah, exactly. Exactly.
hey, you never know.
Exactly. Hey, man, if y'all want to talk about it, we could do it. If y'all don't, I hear it a lot. Hey, it's still. I've kind of gotten to that point. I'm always shifting and changing. A few weeks back, I'm tired of hearing it after month after month after month. The season, we're a good 118 days away from September 10th. A good maybe 90 days away from preseason. We're getting close enough to where I could probably talk about quarterback every day until it happens. But if you guys want to touch on the Brock Trey and the ghost seeing Darnold, I'm not trying to make fun. I'm just trying to. Hey, it made Jay smile, so my job is done. That's exactly why I bring up little crap like that for, man, just to have fun with it. But hey, if you guys, hey, in the chat, hey, who's going to finish the season? Let me ask this question: Who will be? We did a show last year on Beto's channel, Niner Sickness Podcast, The Last Man Standing, where we were predicting the games. Who will be the last quarterback standing for the 49ers this coming year? Who's going to be that guy? I almost want to say, no matter what, someone's going to come out of this like, all right, man, it's been 7 years, it's been 6, how many ever years, we finally know now this is the dude. And it's still almost kind of hard to say that, because it kind of feels like Trey and Brock are both rookies. It feels like they both played 1 year each, you know what I'm saying? And Brock and Trey hasn't come close to that. So who do you think's going to finish the season? Might as well have fun with it. If y'all want to answer it like that, you can. If not, hey, in the chat, who do y'all think's going to be the last guy? Is it going to be Purdy? Is it going to be Brock? And I do also want to add that they are both 49ers, and they are both great dudes. And I'm glad they're both 49ers, and I can't wait to see who takes it. You know what I'm saying? I'll start with Jay. Who's going to take it, man? Hey, I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to just go ahead and say it's going to be Trey. Trey is going to come through, man. He might not be Patrick Mahomes, but he's going to do enough to keep it. And I think he's going to keep running with it, man.
One thing I think of when I think of Kyle Shanahan and his tenure with the Niners, he's yet to figure out the quarterback position. One thing that is for certain is it won't be number 10. Number 10 is no longer with the organization, so we know for sure Jimmy G won't be the opening day starter. Obviously, Brock played really well last year, coming in, great Cinderella story. And, we'll see how he recovers. We have no idea what his recovery process will be like. If he can still throw if he can still throw like he did last year, we have no idea yet. So obviously, the ball is in Trey's court. He's got every chance, every opportunity to succeed, and I hope he does. Hopefully his weapons will be healthy. He'll have CMC, he'll have George Kittle, he'll have the show. He'll have Debo, weapons galore. So he's got no reason not to succeed. But I think it will be Trey. And I think the schedule, like we mentioned, we talked about it earlier, the schedule, it's not like the Eagles schedule. That's for sure. They have the number one, toughest schedule based on last year's, standing. So Trey has some opportunities to make some plays, maybe cap off a few wins in a row. And I think, but the thing is, with even with Shanahan's offense, but we've only had 2 seasons where I think Jimmy played every game during the regular season. I think so. Shanahan just there's a very successful content creator who likes to blame Kyle Shanahan for injuries to the quarterback position, and it was annoying at first, but I think he does make some sense, and I think Shanahan has to do a better job of protecting his quarterback, and he hasn't really done it. Are some injuries fluke? Yeah, absolutely. I think the Brock injury in the playoffs, I think that was fluke. I mean, people are blaming Shanahan. I mean, we've run that play every game. If you're a tight end, that's why you're in there to block. You have to do your job. If you don't do your job, someone gets blown up. That's everyone's position. So, but Shanahan's track record of keeping his quarterbacks healthy is not good. So, even if Trey starts week 1, I hope that if he succeeds, the team wins, that he'll last until week 18 in the playoffs. So I'm just gonna say I hope Trey, because I think if he gets in there, he'll succeed. Defense has weapons, offense has weapons. As long as he doesn't turn over the ball, he stays healthy, I think we're good. So yeah, I'm gonna say Trey Lance, because I just don't see if Brock is on PUP, he missed the first 4 to 6 weeks, whatever it is. If we are 5-1, Trey is playing well. I just don't see Shanahan benching Trey. I just don't see that. So I'm going to say Trey. I'm going to say Trey Lance will start week 1, and he will finish the season starting.
One thing that does scare me about Brock Purdy is he does share the same middle name as James Richard Garoppolo. And that is a little worrisome. I mean, it's just, I think Sam Darnold is also Sam Richard. I don't know, man. It's getting a little weird. My name is Richard, man. It's making me feel some kind of way. But Trey Lance, I'm pretty sure his man, if his middle, I don't even know if Trey Lance got a middle name, but that was just me being funny, even if it wasn't. Anyways, go ahead, Baller.
I'm going to talk about all 3 of these quarterbacks the Niners got. But to answer your question, who's going to be the quarterback kind of finishing up the year? I think it's going to be Brock Purdy. It's just that's the guy who it feels like Shanahan and Lynch want to be that guy. Unless Trey absolutely takes the job and runs with it, which I hope he does, because then that would be a beautiful thing. That means that they say if you got 2 quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback. I disagree, because if Trey's playing outstanding, and Brock showed some good things last year, that'd be good for the quarterback room. But I think it's going to be Brock Purdy when he's ready. As soon as Trey slips up or something, I feel like they're going to be quick. They're going to have a quick hook on him, in my opinion. If Brock's ready, they're going to have a quick hook.
Same.
They're going to insert Brock, and they're probably going to win if he's right, because they got a really talented team, and Brock's a pretty darn good quarterback, in my opinion. So I think it's going to be Brock finishing up the year. But Lance, I want to see Lance. I do want to see Lance. I want him to get the crack at it. I don't want to rush Purdy back. I think it's the perfect chance to give Lance, 3-4 games to start the year. And I want Lance to play a bunch in the preseason. I don't know if I told you guys that. Don't run him. Like, for God, please do not run Trey Lance.
Let that man sling it 40 times,
I want him playing a half of each one of these 3 preseason games. I want him out there for a half because he needs reps. Let's see what he's got. If he does have a good preseason, then it's good for his trade value. It's just good for the Niners because you got a good quarterback, at least. So I want to see Lance play. I hope he runs with the job, but I'm not expecting it because I think they're going to have a quick hook on him. And then I want to touch on Sammy D. Okay, I want to touch on Sam Darnold because after Mayoko said what he said, and I don't want to misquote him, but said he's the most talented talented thrower of the football the Niners ever had. So at first I was like, come on, Matt Mayoko, that's freaking ridiculous. Like that's
Come on.
embarrassing. You would say something
That's
like
beneath you, Matt Mayoko.
Come
It's
on,
beneath
man.
you.
Hey, don't they do
That-
a thing like "Come on, man" on freaking what is it?
ESPN,
know,
NFL
ESPN.
Live,
yeah, or
yeah, they were
Shacked
doing
in the
that. They were
Fool,
doing that.
or you
And I
know,
had
just
I had the same reaction as you
God.
guys. But what I did was I said, okay, let me remind myself, and let's just watch some. I found an 11-minute Sam Darnold highlight reel.
He's got
Okay,
an
and I
arm,
watched
man.
it,
He does.
and it was on the Panthers, so it was recently. And when you just watch the highlights, honestly, he does some things that look pretty good, fellas. He's mobile.
Bro.
Like I knew he was mobile, but he's more mobile than I really thought. You see, I wouldn't say he has a cannon, but he's got a strong
Remember,
arm. He's throwing
remember
on
the
run.
Trey? Remember the Trey video that went viral of him in practice, where he's just like moving to the left and he freaking flick of the wrist like laser bullet, and it went viral.
Yeah.
Darnold makes those kind of throws. I've seen the same
He does some
highlights,
stuff
bro.
like that. He does,
Yeah.
and that's what.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, you know what? It does look pretty good. Honestly, I was a little bit more optimistic after watching the 11-minute Darnold highlight reel. But then I'll add this. I had to
The
do the
low
flip
lights.
thing right after I typed
Yeah.
in Sam Darnold interceptions. Okay, and I found a 2-minute compilation of just interceptions from Sam Darnold, also on the Panthers. And fellas, I
Horrible.
mean, it's like, you know, with Jimmy Garoppolo, how I think Bonte had kind of patented the Jimmy Oh No throws, the Jimmy Oh No's. Well, Sam Darnold does it like to another level. Like the Sammy Darnold Oh No's are really bad. So whereas like Darnold has some Garoppolo in him, so maybe his middle name is Richard Keltz, but because he has some of that, like, okay, Sammy's cool. All right, he's doing cool. And then it's like, what the hell? Atrocious interception right to the DB in a backbreaking situation. So I'm seeing some of those similarities where it's like, man, are they going to be fooled by some of these plays that Darnold can make? Like they see in practice, he's making some of these throws that we're talking about on the run. He's mobile. And then it's like, but then, dude, it comes with the caveat. He makes these head scratching, upsetting interceptions. So that's just what I wanted to share with you guys. What kind of my opinion on Darnold, where it's like he makes some plays that look good, and then he has these interceptions and fumbles. The turnovers are just backbreakers, and that's why put him to the side. He's QB3. I want to see Lance, and then I think it's going to be Purdy when he's ready.
If Darnold starts meaningful games in the regular season, I think that means it's been a disaster. I think that means that Lance got hurt and Purdy wasn't ready, or Purdy got in and he didn't look the same or something. So I think Sam Darnold's better than Josh Johnson. That's what I look at it as.
Or Jay, it might. If Sam Darnold hits the field, it might be it's because Purdy isn't ready. And what if Lance? I mean, I'm hoping it's not the case, but what if Lance isn't looking good? What if he's inaccurate? That's my question with Lance. I really like him as a prospect, and I know Shanahan's talked about how the finger injury had kind of set him back in terms of throwing the football. So I'm hoping to see Trey as the best thrower that we've seen out of him in his brief career. But my biggest question with him is the accuracy. I've seen him miss some of these swing passes. Like he threw a swing pass, I think it was to Juszczyk, and it's like a 12-foot pass, and it almost hits the ground. And you hear some of the reports at some of the practices where he's missing some of these layup throws. So if Darnold hits the field, in my opinion, it would be because it'd be early. It might be week 1, week 2. And that's because Purdy might not be ready, and Lance just hasn't looked good.
I got to keep it lit, man. Just like I did a while back, because there's so many, man. It's sometimes we sound contradicting, but when we're talking about 49er quarterbacks, there is no contradictions. It's just there's so many levels and layers to this thing. It's like, oh, well, he was saying this one day. Now he's saying this. Now look, man, it would be direct, like Jay said, disastrous if Sam Darnold plays, right? At the same time, I could see Sam Darnold winning with these 49ers. I could see Brock winning with these 49ers. I can see Trey winning with these 49ers. It just at the beginning, middle, and end of the day, the 49ers are that good. The coaches are that good. And man, listening to Baller talk, talk about Darnold. It was reminiscent of thinking about McGlinchey. It's like, hey, he is pretty dang good, but when he has his low lights, bro, it is just awful. It's just, it's hopefully we don't see him. So many layers, man. There's so many layers to the freaking game, Bashar. What for whatever reason, Bashar loves it whenever I say layers. Maybe it's the country twang comes out. I don't know. I don't know, man. It's people that still think I'm from the South, man. I got it from South Vallejo, man. Blame it on the hood. It is what it is. Hey, if you guys
I
want to
think
touch
just
on any other
just real
topic,
quick,
shoot
this
for it.
real thing. I think
Yeah.
I think Trey will have to work on his accuracy for sure,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's something that we'll see in camp. That's something that we'll see in preseason. And I agree with you, Baller. He should play at least a half in every preseason game. Like you said, he needs the reps, but Darnold's decision making is worse than Jimmy G's, and that's pretty bad. And I know we have weapons galore, but this guy said he sees ghosts. Like, I don't want him anywhere near the center. I don't want him anywhere in the huddle. Like, honestly, like I look at Sam Darnold as, hey, he's better than Josh Johnson. At least Sam Darnold has some starts with the Jets and the Panthers, but everywhere he's gone, he's failed. I mean, he's been benched. So I feel like if Darnold plays good in preseason, and let's say Darnold and Lance play the same, they're both the same statistically. I still don't see. I still feel like you got to give the kid a shot. I mean, you traded up the draft capital for Lance. I
Exactly.
just don't feel like Darnold can win the job unless Trey gets hurt in camp or something. Like and I know we think we live in a meritocracy and all that, but hey, some guys are more expensive than others, and other guys get more opportunities based on what hey, we gave up this much for you. You're going to get every opportunity to play. And I just hope I don't care what Darnold does in camp. If he's not turning over the ball, he's making every throw. And I know this is just my opinion, but I just feel like you got to give Trey an opportunity. That's why you drafted him. That's why you traded up. I know he wasn't. Some people say he wasn't the Niners' first choice. That's debatable, but I think it would be a shame if even, and I say that based on Darnold, where everywhere he's been, he's failed. To give him an opportunity over Trey, I think it would be a travesty. Honestly, I think it'd be a travesty. You got to let this kid work through his growing pains. That's why you drafted him. It kind of reminds me, man, like the Warriors, they drafted James Wiseman. It's kind of like the same thing. Obviously, the team wants to win a ring, but Wiseman has to go through his issues on the court. You got to let him work through that. Obviously, it's a totally different scenario, but I just hope you got to give Trey an opportunity. If he's healthy and he's showing some struggles in preseason, let him work through it. Give him the reps, Shanahan. You got to give him the reps in preseason. Let him work through that, so that way, hey, we can start off the season 1-0. So those are just my thoughts.
Absolutely. Hey, nailed it. And you just demonstrated how, I think all of us demonstrated how many layers there are to this dang thing, man. And I know the Niners like to keep it interesting,
Yeah.
or at least maybe they didn't completely expect it to be this way, but they look at that green side of the grass when they are in adversity type, thick situations, when it gets thick, when you're in the mud. But I think, I like that we don't have I've said it so many times that we don't have a quarterback stuck in a box. And, I always felt like that with Jimmy. I always just felt like we were kind of trapped. You know what I'm saying? It's like, God, man, it's like I know we're winning and I know we're good, but man, just God, I miss Steve Young. Just and I see Ramelia here. I just do want to say I can almost guarantee that there is no one in the world that types the word Santa Clara more than Rudy. And he's got to have like a world record, like Guinness Book of Records for the most times. Like if there was some kind of tally mark on who writes Santa Clara the most on this planet as we speak, it's Rudy.
Definitely rooting.
It's the Ramilia Sports Santa Clara report because he lets it be known, you know. Man, I had to throw that in there. All right, man. We got a few other people. We got Mark Graves in the house, Ramos. We got our man Lawrence
Good,
Jackson up in the house,
Lawrence.
Platform 246. Go subscribe to our man. He breaks down the Niners and he also breaks down some WWE along with Bashar as well, man. Hey, go hit all these guys up, man. We see y'all. If there's anything else that y'all want to say before we dip up out of here, have at it. If not, we're gone. We'll play a little outro just like our intro. And hey, good stuff for all you guys rocking with us. I do want to mention that Luder Jr. Has looked impressive. I can't wait to see. And we know it's rookie mini camp, but the next dates are OTAs, May 23rd, spreading out all the way to June 9th. After that, they take and then also, or actually from May 23rd to June 15th, it's all spread out through those days. And then, we take a month and a half off until training camp starts, the little calm before the storm. But hey man, we're inching our way closer, and this channel is going to start ramping up. Maybe Straight Out of the Bay will as well. But there's going to be a good month and a half there where who knows, there might not be a lot to talk about. Maybe someone will, stir some stuff up behind the scenes. Who knows? But y'all stay up, y'all stay blessed. That's my final words, and then I'll let y'all take it.
Hey, I just want to say a huge shout out to everyone that was in the chat tonight. Can't read everyone's comments, but we appreciate you guys coming through and rocking with us. Straight Out of the Bay, Celts, Bay Area Baller, myself, Jay in the Bay, and Amin the Dream. He'll be here, I'm sure, on the next show. But we just appreciate all the support. And we love talking about our 49ers. And like Kel said, we will continue to make shows. So I'm just looking forward to, the rest of the year, and looking forward to continue making content with Straight Out of the Bay for sure.
Oh, you know what?
No,
hey, go ahead, Baller. Go ahead, Brody.
Yeah.
Good.
What I'm looking at is, I mentioned it briefly earlier, but the Niners cleared up some space. I want to add one more guy, fellas. I want to add someone, and I'm looking at defensive end or potentially right tackle. I mentioned Cameron Fleming, right tackle of the Broncos, but defensive end is probably, I think that's the position Niners fans would rather have them go after a guy. And I'm with a lot of the other names that people were mentioning, Leonard Floyd, Yannick Ngakoue. Those are two guys I think would absolutely bolster the pass rush. Two talented players. Yannick strictly as a pass rusher, keep him in that rotation. He doesn't play the run well, but I'm interested to see if the Niners make one more move, bring in one more veteran to add to an already loaded roster. And I got to say, fellas, it's been a blast talking ball. The chat was live. Make sure you're subscribed to all these guys' channels. I know I put their links in the description.
Yeah.
So, hey, fellas, glad we could rap about the off season, talk some draft, talk some OTAs. It's big time. And, we are going to ramp up here soon because I know your guys' work ethic. As soon as the season starts rolling around, these guys are on it. They're ready to roll. And I appreciate you guys for, getting these topics ready, getting the graphics up, because you guys are killing it. Tonight it was Celts. Celts, you're killing it. And, hey, we'll talk soon.
Let's get it. Let's go. Hey, if I could keep y'all for just a second, but hey, y'all stay up. Like I said, stay blessed. Straight Out of the Bay. We're out. Up. Yee! We getting it, boy.
What's good? You know who it is. It's your boy, Jay in the Bay.
Your baller back again. Smells like football season.
Yo. Whoa, whoa.